meeting to order. And stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Okay. Any discussion on our small group here? Okay, not hearing any? Or, no? Okay. Then I'm going to, that is approved, and then we are going to excuse Nick and Arla today for personal and whatever reasons.
Health.
And then we're on to, do we have public comments?
No.
Okay. And on to
Consent.
the consent agenda. And I would entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, anything, discussion on that? Okay, not hearing any. Oh, wait, you know what? I didn't, when we did the approval, I just said
Oh.
it passes.
Go
So,
ahead.
we're gonna back up really quick and do the, beginning of, the agenda. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well, and none opposed. That one passes. And then the consent agenda with no discussion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I did not hear, aye as well, and none opposed. So that, I was ahead of myself. Excuse that. Okay. And now we're down here. To
I thought it was fast.
superintendent update.
All right, so a couple things. You have a pretty lengthy document in there called the Minimum Basic Education Requirements. These are a series of assertions that we have to make for to OSPI on a yearly basis about how we're operating in the district. It is now, it has changed. It used to be you just did that, but now we also make sure that we put that as a discussion in front of the board. So we have already submitted our report. The document, a copy of that is there for you, and we're presenting it to the board. So it covers things like, yes, we're getting the right number of instructional minutes, the right number of days, the requirements that we have for various curriculum items are being met or not being met. There are a couple of places where we said, no, we have things to work on. And so it's a very long report, but it covers each of the legislative requirements that we have as far as compliance issues. So that's what that is. Specifically, things that we said we need to work on are growing our, how well we do curriculum when it comes to Native education, Native American education, and to the curriculum requirement to have opportunities at every grade level for multicultural learning opportunities. So we probably have things in the curriculum at the elementary, but we're not deliberate and specific about that at that level. So that's an area we need to work on. And at the middle school, we do have specific courses at the high school that meet the requirements now. But those are things we're continuing to work on and that we reported on ourselves in the report. So that's that piece. Did you have anything about any specific parts of it?
I did not. It's pretty.
Because it's
easy
pretty
to
long.
read and long, yeah. But it
Yeah.
It's
it
the-
asks the question and pretty yes and no question, or answers, so it's not much.
Okay.
I didn't have anything.
And then, so the next thing is, we've talked about this a little bit before, but you know, we're transitioning the program and how we do things at James Taylor. And so they gave us, Lexi presented to you in the spring kind of a draft of James Taylor's document, The Portrait of a Graduate, that will be used to define the work that the kids are doing. And so, Lexi, if you want to just talk just briefly.
Sure.
And this is the most current draft.
Yes, this is a draft. We are currently working on getting stakeholder feedback. So we will have this up at all of our WSLP meetings this week when we meet with kids and families to get family and student feedback. And really, when students leave James Taylor, they will be able to communicate, they'll be able to learn, they are determined, they can thrive, they can practice citizenship, and they will be able to work. So we have all of our current I can statements. As a student, I can excel by staying resilient, self-aware, adaptable, growth-minded in tough situations. And then we have below all of the abilities that will fall under that category. So way down the road in 28, 29, hopefully, this is how we're going to be grading our kids through assessing all of their academic work. Any questions?
And then in the consent agenda today, we had the first round of courses that you approved for mastery-based learning at James Taylor. The team worked really hard over the summer creating those courses, so we're very excited that the kids have that opportunity going forward.
I had just put something in my mouth, but I'm always excited about the new things that you want to add, and everybody wants to add down there, over there. You've done wonderful things. So,
The team has done really great work.
well, you as a whole have done wonderful things, and I just know that I don't know, when we add something or any changes you make, I just can't wait to see what happens. It sparkles, so it's very great. Okay. My words are escaping me today, but.
We're going to talk about the other thing, the consent agenda item, the other.
It's on the agenda further down.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about it now. You want to talk about it later?
Well, yeah, it's on the
Okay, that's
agenda.
fine.
You guys lost me, but, okay.
I mean, you can move and move it.
No, I was talking about just, that's where we were going to talk about the action from there. But you were going to talk about the consent agenda item.
Oh, without talking about the action?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I did want to highlight that in the consent agenda, I included a letter of resignation, that this will be my last year. This is my 11th year at North Mason. This will be my last year. I am looking forward to taking on new opportunities, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the district as well to have new leadership and new work going forward. And I know later in the agenda we'll talk about how the board is going to approach that. But this has been and continues to be an amazing community and group of schools, staff, students, and families to serve. I am so proud to have this opportunity, and I'm going to make the most of every minute of this year. But I'm also looking forward to new things, and I'm also looking forward to new things for the district.
Very good. Well, I'd like to start with just thanking you for everything that you've done over the past 11 years for the district. And the timing of this is going to play in really well, I think, to moving forward to get a great replacement superintendent, which I think all of us are excited to see what the next chapter lies. But thank you very much for everything that you've done for this school district.
Well,
So-
thank you.
I am super sad, and but I'm super excited for you as well. And we've talked. We'll do this. You're not gone yet, so there's that. But like I said when we first talked it over, is that I can't. I want you to celebrate it, and everybody celebrate the end with you, like cheering and excitement into the. However you want to finish out here. So I think it's an exciting thing.
Thank you.
So, okay, we've kind of went, this is my fault, frontwards, backwards. And I think we're at the budget.
Budget status report.
Yes, we are, and sorry about the side chatter here.
That's okay.
Hopefully that is caught on our microphone here. Hello.
Okay, good evening. So yes, I'm Dan King, the Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations, and I would like to present the budget status report for month ending July 31st, 2024. These numbers are almost a month old now, but these are the most up-to-date through a complete month that I have to share. So let's begin with the other funds report with the capital projects fund balance. The capital projects fund ended with a fund balance of $280,831. The debt service fund ended with a fund balance of $1,981,023. The ASB ended with a fund balance of $391,839. And the transportation vehicle fund ended with a fund balance of $346,838. Are there any questions about these accounts before we move on to the general fund? Okay, so let's move on to the general fund budget status report. Again, through July 31st, 2024, our total revenues year-to-date were at 88.35%. We had projected we'd be at 90.57%. Our local source revenues were at 99.79% through July 31. We projected we'd be at 98.73. Our state source revenues were at 89.23%. Oh, Jackie, and if you could scroll up or down. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. State sources, again, were at 89.3%. We projected we'd be at 89.98. And the federal source revenues were at 68.55%. We projected we'd be at 87.5. Now, I want to note, though, that when we built the budget, we put budget capacity for revenues in the federal. So when I was building the budget for 24-25, that's when I really kind of came to that realization why we had showing that shortfall in the federal revenues, because I put almost $900,000 of budget capacity in there. So I don't know that we're going to reach that 99%. It depends on how much we receive in that budget capacity as we go through the year-end process, which actually doesn't get completed until November. So the top 10 sources of revenue for the year-to-date through July were apportionment at $21,408,148. Special purpose unassigned at $8,493,306, and the local property tax at $3,722,090. And then looking at the revenues a little bit further on the next slide, we can see that we budgeted for the year $42,395,487. There it is. So our projected year-to-date general fund revenues were $38,398,578. That does include that capacity that I just mentioned. And then the current year-to-date general fund revenues were at $37,456,927. So let's move on to the expenditures, please. So for our expenditures through July 31st, our projected year-end balance as a percentage of our budgeted expenditures was at 7.61%. Our total expenditures actual year-to-date were at 91.2%. We projected we'd be at 92.44%. Our salaries and benefits expenditures were at 89.59%. We projected we'd be at 91.44%. And our basic ed year-to-date expenditures were at 88.06%, and we had projected we'd be at 93.56%. The top three expenditures through July were basic ed at $18,278,510, district-wide support at $5,790,065, and special education supplemental state at $4,645,570. And the next slide has more of the big picture on our expenditures. Our budgeted expenditures in the general fund for the year were $42,495,683. We projected through July we'd be at 39,651,657, and our actual year-to-date general fund, we're at 39,118,726. So our expenditures were about 533,000 less than what we projected. Let's move on to the year-end fund balance. So this here shows our actual fund balances each month through July. Our July fund balance was $2,572,070. That's an increase of $826,076 since the previous month of June. It's showing here that it's projecting our year-end fund balance in August to be $3,265,357. And let's move on to the summary page, please. And here you can see that our revenues at $37,456,927 through July were at 88.35%. Compared to last year, same point in time, we were at 90.63% of our revenues. And then with our expenditures of $39,118,726, that was 92.05% of our budgeted, and compared to last year, we were at 91.54% at the end of July. And again, this shows at the bottom there, our July 31st fund balance was $2,572,070. So that wraps up the general fund report. Are there any questions?
I'm trying to find.
I know I went fast. I can slow down and go back on any of it if you like.
You do it so smooth. You just glide right through it. I'm looking for, we have an expenditure for special education, and then the revenue for that, where is that? Like the state, because we have our expenditure, right, for, and then that's what we're spending on.
Oh, you're on the
right?
summary, okay, so,
And then, because it says state, supplemental state. And then is that what we're getting from the state right there?
It's a couple of slides.
yeah,
It's
let
the
me,
10
let's go back
that
to
one.
the expenditure page right there, so
Yeah.
that special
Yeah,
education
top 10.
supplemental. Yeah, so that's how much we had spent in our special ed program for salaries, benefits, student services, for example, contractual services, supplies and materials through July.
Okay, this is what we've spent on it.
Yes.
Do we have, I'm trying to find where we have it coming in for that.
Okay. So in the revenues, you can see, that's going to be included in the special purpose unassigned and assigned.
It's part of that.
It's parts of those, but those include some other programs as well.
Is that money that comes into the special purpose, is there an earmark amount for strictly special education?
Yes, and that's shown in our apportionment report, which I typically don't show here.
Would it be something that we could do is add a line in that just shows that breakout? Like we have
can
an
be broken
unassigned
down.
special purpose, but then put, I think it matters because I know that we get a certain amount for state coming our way
That's
for
right.
special education, but that does
Yes.
not fully fund education, and the other part is paid by our levy. And so I think during this time where we're going into meetings and trying to show what we need in the levy, I think if we break that out, showing everybody when they go in and do their own research like they like to do, before they ask questions, that might answer a question before they have to come to us. So that would
Sure.
be really cool if we could break that open.
Yes, that wouldn't be too difficult. We have those figures each month in our apportionment report.
Okay.
And those, and a lot of people wouldn't know where to find that, but it is on OSPI's website. But yes, I can kind of show that and show that amount we're receiving, our total revenues compared to our expenditures. And that would show, and you're right, special education is underfunded. And and that's an issue that all districts in the state are concerned with, are really working with our state legislators to try to help change that scenario for us.
I think part of our getting the information to the community, we put out a lot, and you put out a lot, and we'll do it once or twice. But I think what it's absorbed better when they see it more and more and more. And I want that to be like, that's a big one. I hear a lot. Oh well, special education. What are you going
Yes.
to do about it?
We
You know, well,
definitely have
this
some
is-
real numbers that we can show that would
Yeah.
give
yeah.
some evidence
Takes the
of that.
whole community to
Absolutely.
make that work. So.
Yes. Okay.
Cool.
That's
Cool.
good feedback.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you. Okay. So next.
Number 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on to the general.
Okay, so you, yeah, he's done. Did you finish that one already?
Yeah, he's
Well,
on number 4 now.
Yeah, now
Okay.
we're gonna ask you to adjourn to a public hearing
Oh, okay.
and then go back to the meeting.
Okay, so we're back, we're down to the general fund, capital projects fund budget extension. And I'm going to adjourn to a public meeting for public discussion on this part here. So adjourn at, I don't know if we have to make the time, but 6:49 for the adjournment. And any public comments or anybody that anybody write in, send in, or here to talk about it.
Do you wanna present it?
Sure, I'll give a summary of what we're looking at here and what the purpose of this budget extension resolution. So the budget extension resolution includes an extension in 2 of our funds, our general fund and our capital projects fund. The general fund extension of $1,250,000 is a precautionary extension. It's precautionary in the event that, as we do year-end and complete all of our year-end, close all of our books for the year, we want to make sure that we do not overexpend what was approved and authorized by the board, by the school board last August. So there are, school districts are cautioned not to overspend past what they're authorized to spend. So this precautionary extension just gives us that authorization in the event that our expenditures exceed what was approved last year. For the capital projects fund, our current expenditure approval was $300,000. This is an increase of $50,000 to $350,000. This is necessary because we received a grant. It's an emergency repair project grant from OSPI to fix the fire panel at Sand Hill Elementary over the summer. So we are receiving those revenues to pay the expenditures for that work. And in order to spend that money, we need to make sure we have approval by the board. So that's the purpose of these 2 increases.
Very cool. Okay, and we don't discuss anything here yet until we
No,
come
we
back
go
to it.
back.
Okay, and I did not hear any other public comments or public discussion, so we're gonna come back to the meeting. And then I first would entertain a motion to approve and adopt Resolution 09G 24 General Fund Capital Project Fund Budget Extension as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the general fund, capital funds, fund budget extension.
Okay, and any discussion on that? Okay, not hearing any. All for passing that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well, and not hearing any against, that passes. Now, we're on to the budget presentation, 24-25.
Okay. So here I feel honored to share with the board and the superintendent our school district's 2024-25 budget. So I'm presenting this, and then afterwards, we'll be looking at a resolution to approve this budget. So, I've stated this in the past, that a primary driver of our budget really is the source of our revenues through the apportionment is based on our student enrollment, our student FTE. So this budget is based on an enrollment projection of 2,357 students. That includes our Running Start students, but it does not include developmental preschool and TTK. Those are funded in a different way, and they are included in the budget, but when we're looking at the big picture here, those numbers aren't included here in this FTE. So beginning with there are 5 funds. The main one is the general fund, and our revenues for the general fund come through apportionment, our school lunch program, transportation allocation, not our transportation depreciation, but funding for operations within our transportation department, which would include funding for our bus drivers, salaries and benefits, fuel and other costs. Categorical funding, such as LAP, title, CTE, and other categorical, special education, and other grants that we apply for. The expenditures in the general fund include staff salaries and benefits. That's the main one. That's about 85% of our general fund budget. And then what we call MSOCs, or materials, supplies, and operating costs. And that's all the things that we buy for our office supplies, curriculum supplies, furniture, and services that include things like repair services, speech and SLP services that we contract out, all kinds of services, telephone and text services, and things like that. So our estimated beginning fund balance is $3,059,880. Now, that we really won't see what our actual beginning fund balance is until about the end of November, because the year-end process for our financials is November 15th. And through that date, we are doing final grant claims, just closing the books, and in times we're receiving some revenues for 23-24, but we won't receive them until next fiscal year, which starts September 1st. But we'll accrue those dollars back to 23-24. So that's why when I present the fund balance at our next board meeting, it's still not going to be our beginning fund balance for 24-25. We still won't have our 23-24 final fund balance. But this is a close estimate, and I feel pretty sure it's going to be close to this. $3,059,880. So our revenues and other financing sources for next year, we're projecting to be $44,006,687. Our expenditures, we budgeted $44,524,338. And then we will be required to transfer out $337,738 from our general fund to the debt service fund to pay our non-voted debt. Because we cannot use tax collections to pay that. We're paying that out of our general fund. And so the ending fund balance that we're projecting for at the end of next fiscal year is $2,204,491. Let's move on to our capital projects fund. So this fund receives revenues from transfers in from other funds, capital grants. We were lucky or fortunate to receive 3 capital grants this year. Housing impact fees. So when a developer builds tract of homes, there's a fee they pay per family unit. and that's to help mitigate the impact of additional students. And interest income. The expenditures include construction of capital facilities, land acquisition for capital construction, and improvements to capital facilities. Our beginning fund balance, we're budgeting $280,431. We're expecting in revenues $216,768. We are budgeting $300,000 in expenditures, and we are budgeting $197,199 as our ending fund balance. Well, let's move on to our debt service fund. Revenues here include local property taxes, timber excise taxes, general fund transfers into the debt service fund, and interest income. The expenditures are solely for the principal and interest on voted and non-voted debt. The beginning fund balance is $2,011,025. For revenues and other financing sources, we've budgeted $3,289,718, and our expenditures are $3,235,718, and our ending fund balance will be $2,065,025. This one is really easy to nail it and get right on it because we know exactly what the amounts are that was voted to be collected by the county treasurer. The one that's a little bit hard to pinpoint, but we can be close, is the interest income. We also know how much we're going to need to pay out to pay down our bonds. So we have a payment schedule, and so we've taken those numbers from there. So this is very accurate. The Transportation Vehicle Fund, revenues here are for state depreciation for our school buses. And there's a depreciation cycle schedule that the state uses based on the age of our buses, and they pay us our depreciation for that to replace buses once they've aged out. We also sometimes receive some money, not a lot, but some, from school bus surplus. So when we have a bus that's being removed from our fleet, we'll take it to an auction house, and we do receive the proceeds from that bus being auctioned off. Also, I didn't list on here interest income as well. The expenditures in this fund are for school buses and major repair school buses. So we wouldn't be replacing timing belts or anything like that with this fund. It would be for major repairs. The beginning fund balance is $348,225. Our revenues and other financing sources are budgeted at $295,529. Our expenditures, $604,904, and we already have 4 buses on order, and that's what these expenditures are for. We've ordered 4 buses, 3 big buses, and 1 special ed bus. And the special ed bus is a larger special ed bus, so it can accommodate more than your typical number of students in a wheelchair, more than a smaller special education bus. It will have a wheelchair lift. So we're looking forward to having those new buses in the fleet sometime next school year. Our ending fund balance will be $38,850. Again, the one that's hard to pinpoint is the interest, but the investment income. I really try to be on top of investing whenever we receive dollars. I don't just leave it there uninvested. I invested in using the county treasurer's assistance in the state investment pool. So, and we've done pretty well with getting maximum return on those investments. Okay, the next one is the Associated Student Body, or ASB fund. Revenues include ASB card, club, and athletic fees, gate receipts and ticket sales for sporting events and other events such as theater and plays, things like that, musical concerts and whatnot. Concession stand revenues, fundraisers, and donations, and also investments. The expenditures are solely dedicated to cultural, athletic, recreational, and social events. The beginning fund balance is $412,133. Revenues and other financing sources are budgeted at $428,737. Expenditures are at $428,869 to leave an ending fund balance of $412,001. So those are the 5 funds. And then the last slide is a quote I've shared before, and I've thought maybe I need to change a quote, but then when I really think about it, it's like, no, this really just sums it up. When, I'm an educator, and, I was a teacher, I was a principal. My lens is always teaching and learning, and my lens is always, we're here to serve students. That's why I'm here. That's why all of our staff are here. That's the reason we're here. And in my role as, the business manager and looking at our finances, I'm always looking at things through the lens of how can we use our resources to best serve students? And what is our philosophy around that? What are the things we value? What are our main initiatives? How can we purpose that money towards those things we value and what our initiatives are? And so I still think this quote is very appropriate. So I just want to end with this. A budget is not just a collection of numbers, but an expression of our values and aspirations. And I love this photo here. This is actually some of our students. They're either TTK or DPS students at Deller. Just the joy of them playing in the leaves. It's just, I think, an amazing picture. So that concludes the presentation for next year's budget.
All right. Well, then we will adjourn to the public hearing to hear any comments or anything from the public. So I will adjourn here at 7:05 for that. And is there anybody here to speak about the, where'd I go? I just had it, I was reading it here. About the, that's not the one I was, we just did the other one. Oh, we did the extension. I'm sorry, I'm on the top right here. Any discussion from the public, anything sent in or anything like that? Not hearing any. I am going to come back into our meeting and I will entertain a motion to approve and adopt the 2024-2025 North Mason School District budget and summary 4-year budget plan as presented in Resolution 07G24.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 budget resolution.
Okay, any discussion? Not hearing any. All 4 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well, and not hearing any opposed. That passes. So, I'm looking for my mouse and I don't have a mouse because I'm on my laptop. And then we are good to go there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
And you look very sharp tonight. The
Thank
dark
you.
color and the striped tie clip. It's good. All right. And then we are on to our monitoring reports. Okay. And this one is just for the first one is just for the,
Those are the board superintendent relationship policies. We do not do monitoring reports on those, but we regularly look at them to see if we need to make any changes. So that's what those are there for.
Yeah.
The first monitoring report is on ER1.
yes. And we just had a board retreat where we got to go over some of these and we've been able to read through them and it takes a lot of reading and you kind of have to balance them with each other so it'll the new people that have come in, those are fun to, I remember reading them in my first year. It took me to like understand what connected with what and it's pretty neat. But we're good with our board superintendent. And then did you have anything for Did you have any comment or anything? Or
For
you
the
wanna talk about,
BSRs? Yeah.
On ER1?
No,
Okay. Okay, then I will entertain a motion to approve or to find the superintendent's performance to comply with ER1. Are we doing these separate or are we doing these all
Do
together?
them separately.
That's right, okay. So I have an entertainment of motion for that.
Make a motion to find the superintendent in compliance with ER1.
Okay, and any discussion? Not hearing any, signify, all for it, signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye as well. And I didn't hear any opposed, so that one passes, and we are on to ER3, treatment of parents, students, staff, and public. I will entertain a motion to find the superintendent's performance to comply with ER3. I feel like we just did this. I think it's because we just went over these.
Are we at discussion or? you looking
I
for
just
a-
entertained a motion
okay.
to find the board,
I'll make
or
a,
the board to find the superintendent.
I'll make a motion to find the superintendent in compliance with ER3.
Okay, any discussion on that one?
I like a lot of the stuff that you've got in this monitoring report. With some of the new and upcoming things that we're doing with the committees out there. I would continue to, it's I think a constant improvement topic of continuing to evolve and communicate on different platforms in different environments to continue to allow the parents and public to interact with you. So like, continue to do that as we move forward.
This is one that I always celebrate, that I think that Dana does this really well with parents. Anytime they come with something to me and I direct them straight to Dana, I don't hear much of anything else, but when asked to the person that had come to me, they're like, nope, she fixed it, I'd misunderstood, or we're fixing it, we're going forward, stuff like that. So I'm always happy so far. We only got a little bit more time to totally blow that one. No, I'm just kidding. Very good. All right. Any other discussion on ER3?
I appreciate not just hearing the highlights and the things that are being done well, but also acknowledgement of here's perhaps where we're falling short, and yet here's the plan on how we're going to improve. And also the inclusion of here's gaps, and we're not currently working on them, but we acknowledge it's there and that there will need to be work. So
Okay.
it's obviously I love seeing the highlights and the things that we do well, but I think it will lend more transparency to our community and our staff to see district leadership saying, we know that, we've got work to do and we're okay with that.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, well, all for finding the superintendent's performance to comply with ER3 signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye as well. Not hearing any opposed, that one is passed there. And we are on to ER4, budget planning. And as we've just heard some fun, good stuff going on, I would entertain a motion for the board to find the superintendent's performance to comply with ER4.
I'll make a motion to find the superintendent in compliance with ER4 budget planning.
Okay, any discussion? I don't really have, we get to hear, like, like we're just talking about it just now, but we're monthly get to hear more and more about it and get ready for it. So when
I-
we're blindsided by anything, towards the end, I don't ask a lot of questions because, or when we're planning, we usually know about them.
I appreciate the thoroughness of the budget planning when we're going through it. I like how we're displaying in there as we're looking into what we're spending and how our revenues come. I think continuing, I know we've had quite a few tweaks over the course of you being in that role, Dan, and just kind of adjusting it, and I really appreciate streamlining everything and getting it flowing with still showing all the data. So it's wonderful.
I appreciate how user-friendly the presentations
Yes.
are, because even though you're technically supposed to be presenting to us, we know that our community and other folks look at these materials or watch the videos, and so it's nice that, it's nice to know that it is prepared in a way that's not condescending and yet allows them to understand the finances of our district, so thank you.
Very good. All right, well then, all for finding the superintendent's performance to comply with ER4 signify by saying aye.
Aye?
And I as well, and not hearing any opposed, that passes. And then we have the policy review, and this is just discussion area for what we went over last month for governance process, E2 student success, E5 responsible citizens, and ER2 organizational continuity. Was there any discussion on that?
I would just like to point out that in the discussion with the board, we talked about providing more in-depth information as we have the upcoming reports from the buildings and the district on our expectations for growth for students this year and the data of where we are now. So as we look forward to the next few meetings where we break those down into our goal sections, the team is paying very close attention to the requests by the board, and I'm looking forward to the reports, good and bad, that you are going to get.
Very cool.
I really look forward to that consistency with data wherever we can present that. I think that's great.
Okay, very cool. All right, well, that was just a discussion. I am just making notes to remember something. Okay, and then we are on to the action part, number 7, of the new superintendent search firm process.
Yes, so in response to your acceptance of my resignation effective June 30th of 2025, the next step is for the board to begin to the process of searching for a new superintendent. And part of making this announcement so earlier in the year is to position North Mason School District in the best possible place to get the best applicants and get out there and in front. And part of doing that effectively is bringing on a partner that does the work regularly, a superintendent search firm. And what I am recommending that you do here is approve requests for qualifications that we will publish with all the firms tomorrow, so that they can submit to the board why they think you should choose them to help you, partner with you on that search. And we've included in our request a series of questions that they need to address so that you will get responses to the same questions from each company, so that you'll be able to compare and make a decision and find the right team to support you in finding the right new superintendent for North Mason School District. So we are asking that you approve this process so that we can get it going and you can have something to talk about at the next board meeting.
All right, so this is a list that we've come up with for the request for qualifications that are a standard typical superintendent search qualifications that's out there. We're going to be asking for those folks to submit, and then the board will review that next meeting, and then start looking at if we're going to make a decision to move forward with some interviews or move forward with a firm during the next board meeting.
On the first, just to really highlight, the first bullet that we think is really important is that they are able to explain to the board how they are going to engage all of our stakeholders throughout the community in helping you through this process.
Okay, so first, I am going to entertain a motion to approve the request for qualifications for a superintendent search as presented.
I will make a motion to approve the request for qualifications for a superintendent search.
Okay, and any discussion? I'm just going to add that going out to do this to find a search firm, firms do it differently. Different firms do it differently. So doing this will give us the opportunity to get the one that matches the way we want to do it and the way that it connects our community to us the best. So I'm really excited about this part. This is like, I know I'm the bittersweetness of the excitement, but I think this first part is going to be pretty exciting. So,
Yes, very much so.
I mean, the end part will probably be the fireworks. The confetti goes off, but okay. Any other discussion? Okay. So not hearing any, all for they're approving the request for qualifications for superintendent search as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye as well, and not hearing any opposed. That passes as well. And we are down to the good of the order, board and superintendent, and I will start over here with Nicole.
Well, I just wrote down a few things. I wanted to thank NMEA President Kersey for meeting with me and chatting about ways that we can support the teachers next school year and all lovely things, North Mason High and Hawkins. So I appreciate that. Thank you for taking time to chat with me. I wanted to thank our local vendors who donated to our picnic event. We got some really great donations and love to see the support that we get from the community. And also a shout out to our NMHS graduate CJ Allen for his performance in the Olympics. That was amazing and it was so incredible. I'm from a big city and so it always just, I find it so incredible when I see our town just come together to support one of our own. It was really, really cool.
That was very cool, very cool. So a couple things. So the picnic, that was amazing to see everybody out there at the picnic. Got to visit with quite a few folks when we were out there. So that was really neat to kind of see everybody out there and all the corn that was getting cooked up and everything else was really neat. So that was one. Two was we had our first community bond meeting. It went very well. The Winhog Group presented a lot of great information. We kind of talked over the process, very similar to what they presented to the board. It was fascinating to see all of our responses that we had come up with during our board meeting be up there on the slides. So that was pretty neat. We had a real full room of folks. We're still looking for a few other committee members to join that meeting, and she really has everything laid out. There's a meeting a month going on. There'll be a period where all the community members go out to the community and get feedback for everybody. So I thought it was really a great meeting. Looking forward to the next one and hearing kind of what the committee comes up with and their ideas. So
Very cool.
past that, that's all I got.
I always love hearing us talk about going into the community and talking, because we're so small that kind of everybody knows everybody, you know, and it's like, well, who did you talk to? And who did you talk to? So, well, we did our retreat, and that was really cool. We got to hear, and I don't know why names are escaping me. Please help me.
Tim Garsha.
Garshow. Tim, he came, he's very knowledgeable and very down to earth and open. He's always been somebody, even though just somebody very professional, but he's always been somebody you could just walk right up to and ask a question. He'll just sit down with you and just talk about it. So it was really cool. He came and gave us kind of the short version, but it felt like some meat, you know, and it was nice for talking about our policies and whatnot, but also of going forward on the superintendent search. And then the picnic. I did not get to stay for a super long time. It started to rain, and my son melts in the rain. So he got in the car and he was eating a hot dog, and we got our hot dog and we got our corn. And I can tell you, I've never seen mayonnaise on a cob corn, and they didn't have butter. So we had to go home with the two that had nothing on it just to put butter on it. So that was really cool. But we got signed up, and if anybody watching this, anybody get out there, any of you guys, the YMCA right now for Shelton, if your child goes, and I think only one parent has to go, that's the required, or a guardian. But you do, and I cannot remember how many weeks it is. I think it's 10 or 13 weeks, and you have to do their program. It's on Wednesdays. It's like every Wednesday for an hour or so. And then once you finish the program, your family, your household, I believe your whole household, gets free YMCA membership for the whole year. So I was just wanting this. I was just totally praying for this. And I was looking in my insurance packet and I couldn't find anything. And they're doing it. So they're going to teach you about food and nutrition and having a good relationship, a healthy relationship with food, and exercise, and not having diets in your life, but a lifestyle. So I'm excited about it and teaching my kid with the stuff that we learned there. And then I did the levy committee. That's my one that I am on. And I think everybody that was there is from the district. And so we are looking for some people from outside of the district to come in. And if anybody knows anybody, or spread the word to bring some more people in. But lots of exciting stuff happening. It seems so busy already, you know, but I know the beginning is busier, and then it gets busier. So it's going to be I feel the magic kind of growing this year. So.
Well, and school starts Wednesday. Everybody's very excited. We had amazing opportunities to train with staff last week. We kicked it off with a keynote speaker who is Blair Penry, a North Mason High School graduate and this year's Washington State Teacher of the Year. And she had a very powerful message about belonging and what happens for kids when they don't feel about belonging, and what we as teachers can do to change that. And so it was very powerful and very much appreciated by our staff, and a great way to start the year off. So very exciting.
We're good.
Yes, my son is doing the first year of high school right here, and I'm scared out of my mind. More than him, he's all cool and collected, so I don't know how they do it. All right, the self-assessment today is done by Director Gonzalez Timmons.
Yes, okay, so we have 3 school directors present. I feel that the agenda was well planned to focus on the real work of the board. I believe we followed the agenda and we did not allow ourselves to get sidetracked. We were prepared for and contributed to the meeting. I believe the meeting proceeded without interruptions or distractions. And our deliberations and decision-making processes were public. Our participation was balanced and members listened attentively, avoiding side conversations. Our work was conducted in an atmosphere of trust and openness, and I believe we treated each other with respect and courtesy. That was the general meeting behavior. In regards to governance principles, I believe that our actions are occurring at the policy level rather than at the operational level. That we review policy about each topic before we discuss that issue. We didn't write additional policies this
No.
time,
No,
so that
that's-
one's not really relevant. Minimize time spent monitoring past performance. We routinely dedicate time to reviewing and/or improving our own process. We clarify our priorities and the values when considering potential outcomes, beneficiaries, and costs of outcomes. We follow an annual calendar based on a plan for completing our work. The board chair helps the board efficiently conduct our meetings. We spend most of our time deliberating issues, defining and clarifying our vision, and linking it with the community as opposed to fixing things. And I believe we support the superintendent in any reasonable interpretation of our policies. So overall, I mark us as satisfactory.
Very good.
Very good. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, so our next board meeting is going to be right here with the meeting starting at 6:30 on September 23rd, 2024, with an executive session starting at 5:30. So we'll be here an hour before that. And if we could send out a reminder to us board members, just because we don't have two of us here, so that they remember for next month, and maybe closer to the meeting time, but so they can plan for it. And then we will be adjourning right now at 7:30 p.m.